All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest news and rumors all offseason long in New York Mets land. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live now regularly every Thursday at 6 p.m., even though we are live at 7 p.m. Today, it happens. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you live right now in the chat, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all the great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. You're just being starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for more content over there. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 178 of our show. Frank, I'm going to point to you because the last time we did a show was more than a week ago. And then you were on that show, I'm pretty sure. Or were you here last time? I'm not sure. But it's been a while. So
it's been a while.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot happened. We crowned a champion, the back-to-back champion, so that happened. But also, we're still just kind of waiting to see how this offseason fully unfolds with this Mets team. They've got their coaching stuff done. That was step one, but we know that, where you're going to make a big difference is going to be in the personnel department with the players. There's been a lot of talk. We're going to get into a lot of rumors, maybe getting rid of everybody, maybe keeping everybody. There's definitely some differing opinions. So it's definitely, as always, an interesting time when it's the offseason.
Yeah, everybody gets a little heated, a little bit panicked when they see some of these reports. Andrew, you're usually chilling and waiting for things to actually just drop, and that's usually how you are. But in the process of this going on, we've dropped a few videos about some internal stuff regarding some internal pieces of maybe trading and offloading them. Some of them have aged a little bit quickly poor in some portions, but still some things to think about because a lot of major changes have to be made.
Yeah, I want to personally tell Scott Harris to piss off for ruining multiple tries of that trade video. But, leave it to Scott Harris, make it up for me and trade Terry Skubal to my team later. But again, like we said, couple of, internal options. We're seeing rumors. Fans are already on fire. I mean, like you said, I'm just kind of sitting back. I'm no longer going to be angry, screaming, oh, I don't like David Stearns. I'm just going to let it rock because he's going to do what he's going to do. And, we really can't do nothing. And then we got to at least... he's lost a lot of the fan base, but hey, he's going to be here. Like it or not, he's your representative. You're going to have to deal with it. And if you don't like it, well, you hope then you're cheering against your team to help he gets fired. That's you're playing that game. So you're going to have to deal with it. We'll see if what happens. We're seeing some rumors. Like Frank said, there's some rumors of bringing everybody back. Some guys say we're bringing nobody back. And sometimes we're just going to just pick up a couple dumpster dive relievers and we're going to run back with the kids. And Mark Vientos is the first baseman. Again, we are not even at the non-tender deadline. We're at the GM meetings. The GM meetings are usually where you just start to lay the first foundation for trades. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a signing or two, maybe within this show, but most likely on the weekend we'll probably see our first, I would say, a reliever. They're saying the reliever market moving fast. I doubt it, but I could see a couple maybe mid-relievers getting signed this weekend and start seeing some movement. But again, with teams still waiting to solidify 40-man rosters, the non-tender deadline, I believe, is next Friday. I think once we get past that hurdle and we get a new group of free agents, I think that's when we'll start to see some real action. And obviously we're going towards, Orlando with the winter meetings. And then, especially now with Boris Corp, mid-February, we'll start seeing the big guys come off the block.
Yeah. I mean, again, we have the GM meetings in Vegas this week. So a lot of reports have been coming out for that. So we will get into it. But beforehand, let's bring in a special guest who will be joining us. He has been on our show many, many times, along with his partner who could be joining us later. We don't know. We're not sure yet. But the last time he was here, it was during our annual trade deadline special that we do with a bunch of Mets creators. Please welcome back Matt Ibby Ibanez from TilMetsDoUsPart on Brett Beatty's birthday. I did it for you, okay? There. You good?
That's right.
All right.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
fantastic. I mean, I always
All right.
appreciate coming on the show, guys. Thank you for having me. Yeah, this is like the 10th, 11th, 15th time, whatever it may be. Either way, I have a blast every time, and it's just so fitting that on this day it is 3B1's B day. Brett Beatty, double B, the guy who's going to be there day one, whether you like it or not. Our third baseman. Happy birthday, big 2-6 to number 7.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
He is the oldest kindergartner ever, right, Frank? Crazy.
Move those goalposts, boys. Move those goalposts. It's okay. It's okay.
Anything to take shots at, something that Ibby enjoys or Andrew enjoys. That's all good for me. I'm not gonna lie. There's plenty of shots and comments to go around. Obviously, this is constantly going to be a revolving door of rumors as of right now, because there really isn't much substance. And it's been said as of right now from a lot of reporters, of rumors, of the feel is this, the feel is that. Maybe this happens. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is this guy's attached to this team. This guy is maybe going here. We don't know. It's very, 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 very early. And we've already seen some stories already change from the confidence level of the Mets retaining a certain someone that we will get into, or the Mets, letting go of someone. I mean, it's a revolving door of these rumors, and the only way that it's really official is when Jeff Passan goes out. But there's plenty of stuff to talk about. And I obviously want to shift the offseason talk to the side, because that's going to be the majority of this show. But I do want to talk about a certain thing that happened that has been, let's just say, the coaching staff for the Mets and the revolving door of the coaching staff. There's been a lot of discourse compared to what we have had in the past. And it's probably just because there's more of a narrow eye on this team, especially when you talk about their successes and their failures. But we had 2 former coaches who are now joining enemy lines with the Atlanta Braves, that being Jeremy Hefner and Anton Richardson, and they will be taking the positions that they had with the Mets. And obviously, the Mets, we've talked about a lot of their coaching. We've been covering a lot of the coaching with, the lack of the offseason stuff. But as for what kind of happened here and how things kind of ran down, because obviously Anton Richardson being a big asset to this team in 2025. But as for what happened exactly, the Braves put out a press release on some random Tuesday. I don't know when it was. Tuesday, Wednesday, they did some random release. They did their press release that always annoys us. They're donating 1% of their salary to this or that. The memes go on and on. But they announced that they are making 2 additions to their coaching staff, Jeremy Hefner and Anton Richardson, pitching coach and first base coach. They are moving to a division rival. Now, obviously, a lot of the speculation and a lot of the heat that has gone on to the Mets front office, or the Mets as of right now, has been Anton Richardson, who it seemed like they were willing to retain, but they did not. Mike Puma on X and on the New York Post reported that Anton Richardson told them that he left the Mets for the Braves because of a difference in opinion over his value. He circled back to the Mets at the end, but the team couldn't offer the same deal as originally because of the restriction of the amount of coaches allowed to receive a pension. The Mets had hired other coaches before he circled back. Anton Richardson even put out some of his comments publicly, saying during the negotiation process, we weren't fully aligned on how we viewed my value. I have great respect for their process and the conversations we had. I think this narrative of me not wanting to be a Met, that's kind of bogus. I think doing everything you can to keep somebody is relative. I'm going to miss a lot of people in that room, in the clubhouse. I built a lot of good relationships. It's tough to leave, but that's the nature of the game we live in and the business that we live in. Now, obviously, some Mets fans are taking this deeper compared to some others. Ibby, I know that you've been dealing with a lot of the discourse regarding Anton Richardson, because there's not really many fingers to point at, because there's not really much news. Like, there really isn't. But I think that you've put definitely an input in it, but I think whatever you want to reiterate on this, because again, them going to a division rival sucks. It does. Especially Anton Richardson, who has been seen as more of the asset. But I mean, things are revolved. This is the business that, baseball is in as of right now. No job is safe. No one's loyal. No one's stapled to anything.
When you are a New York Mets fan, and I've learned this throughout the years, especially as I've gotten older, the less emotional you are as a person when it comes to this team, the better off you would be. And I think a lot of people are just sucking their emotions when it comes to something like this, especially because it's the Braves. But I had said, and I got some backlash for it, but I had said that I thought this was because of the want or the need for him to be on a staff where he can become something more, which could have been a bench coach, something along those lines. But I also followed that up by saying in the same video, I said, don't be shocked if he ends up going somewhere as a first base coach and takes a similar role, because he might want to work into a new staff, prove worth, and try to climb the ladder there, because there's no ladder for him to climb here, because Kai Correa was signed as a 36, 37-year-old bench coach. So he probably thinks this is probably the best it's going to get for me here. Maybe it's time for me to go elsewhere and build something up. And I mean, I don't understand. It's probably because nothing else is going on right now. And that's what I'm going to chalk it up to, because people have nothing else to yell about at the moment. But there's no reason to get this worked up, or, it's died down now. But for people to get this worked up over a first base coach, this team won 83 games? 83 games, and we're yelling about a first base coach? Why? Like, I understand he did a great job and he offered something. I didn't want him to go. I wanted him to stay. Like, I'm not saying that he's a bad coach, nothing like that. I want him to be here, but he's not here. Is it going to make all the big difference in the world that he's not? I don't think so. Like, you pick up on things and you try to continue what wasn't established when he was here. But overall, like, I'm not losing my mind over a first base coach. I want good players on the field. I want a good product on the field. That's what I care about. I want a better bullpen. I want starting pitching. Like, I don't care who is holding the batting gloves or the shin guards or the elbow pads at first. Yes, he did help when it came to stealing bases and being, a student of the game and smart in that sense, and being able to take advantage of something that, Juan Soto is one of the worst runners when it comes to sprint speed, but he ended up having 38 steals. Like, fantastic. But I'm not going to lose my mind over this. And everyone else that is, I think you need to just step back for a minute and realize that there are bigger problems with this team.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we did see them successfully steal a lot of bases. A lot of that came from Soto. He was close to a 40-40 player. Andrew, we talked about this the last time that we were live. Again, we got more of the context, obviously, since we went live last time. It seems like Richardson wanted a pension, and then also he wanted like an option to search for other jobs or other promotions elsewhere. So that's probably where they kind of clashed in the middle there. But again, if he wasn't such a great asset to this coaching staff, no one would be talking about this at all. But again, it's Anton Richardson going to the Braves. That's the main reason as to why I think it stings the most. And I don't know if you agree in that sense, but the Braves, they steal everything from us. They're in our nightmares forever.
I mean, yeah, I think, and Ibby said it best. There's nothing else going on, so, and you see how this fan base is already pissed off at this team. So any little thing that could light a fire, that could piss off people on Twitter, is just setting gasoline on a match. And again, and then you add the fact, like you said, it's the Braves. He couldn't go to the Royals. He couldn't go to small market American League. Nope. He's got to go to the Braves. And it's like, of course, now watch Matt Olson and Austin Riley go 30-30 next year. I'm going to be like, okay, this dude's got wizard magic at this point. But again, like, it's not that big a deal. But again, it's just something to complain about, because again, we're in the dead spot of the offseason. Plus, you had the Dodgers winning the World Series, which always are going to aggravate a Mets fan even more. So it's just kind of everyone's just grouchy and bitching and moaning. And I think AB said it best. Just stop being not emotionally attached, because you're always going to be emotionally detached.
Right.
Take a sip of beer. You got to go to work in the morning anyway. They're going to win. They're going to lose. They're going to be there tomorrow. And I get it. Some people can do it. I've just become attached, and it's just how it is. But I can understand just fans wanting to bitch and moan because there's nothing to bitch and moan about until, again, once the winter meetings and that for, we already saw with the first waiver claim that they brought in. This is just how this fan base perceives this organization right now. It's this team cannot do anything right until proven otherwise, and that's just how this fan base is going to react. So as adults, which I know it's hard, just let them complain, let them punch it out, and then stick them in timeout and give them a sippy cup after the little temper tantrum.
What about the kids, Andrew? The kids that are huge Anton Richardson fans that totally knew his name in 2024.
Kids.
I mean, they're learning the base running. They were watching, studying the game like all 5-year-olds do with a little notepad out and pen and paper. Learning the Juan Soto tricks. But again, we're losing sleep over first base coach. When have we ever, besides manager and maybe hitting coach and pitching coach? Now we're yelling about position. Now we got first base, third base. What's next? We're going to yell about. We yelled about the trainer as an organization.
Was he in San Francisco prior to this? Was he in San Francisco? Did he do anything special in San Francisco?
I don't know.
Did they do anything special?
No.
I mean, it's whatever. It's the one good thing that happened for a bad team.
He was in San Francisco. Yeah, from 2020 to 2023. So. Yeah. I don't remember him turning Wilmer Flores into a stolen base threat. As we all love Wilmer here.
That would have been magic.
Definitely not fleet of foot. Let's just say that. And that's more of just because of physical injuries that he had. He had some some knee issues or something. But we're getting off topic.
He wasn't fast even as a rookie. So
no, he was just not fast at all.
No.
But either way. Frank, I will go to you. Obviously, you didn't really get to talk a lot about the coaching or a lot of the coaching changes, even with the new pitching coach they're bringing in, Justin Willard. Things are filling the time until we get some rumors out there and we can have some deep conversations and intellectual conversations. Obviously, as Mets fans, every Mets fan is very intelligent. But what do you think? I mean, is this? Would you panic over this because of division, or would you just panic over this? Or would you panic over this just not at all? I don't know how to approach this from either it's the coaching standpoint, because we've talked about coaching impacting this team a lot, so it's not like it didn't make an impact, but I think there's a certain level that you get to, I think, when it comes to first base coaches or third base coaches or guys who are not the biggest of voices in that clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've done plenty of yelling about third base coaches about not being aggressive and holding guys on, especially when you have offenses that are struggling to score runs. Like, here is your opportunity to score, and you're stopping them there, and then you don't score. So you've had teams that struggle in scoring position. Like, that drives me nuts. But how you can get into scoring position is by stealing bases. And I feel like Antoine Richardson, no one was talking about him in 2024. Like, this guy was the first base coach for 2 seasons, and made, like you said, because Soto had this massive increase in stolen bases, and the Mets kept getting these streaks of consecutive stolen bases of second safe. They're only getting out if they got picked off. It's just but if they went for it and the ball went to the catcher's mitt, they got second base. And it was with a lot of different players. It was a huge uptick, and it felt like as the season was progressing, they were getting better and better at it. So I just think that it was something that, like Ibby mentioned, it was the one thing that Met fans at least they did this well, because like we talked about, when you have this payroll, this expectations, don't make the playoffs, so many things went wrong here. But the one thing that did go well was the stolen bases, and we talked about the criticism of the coaching staff across the board. We had problems with at every level, probably besides first base coach, and he ends up going elsewhere, pension, this, that, the other. I mean, could be, like I said, professional development. There's so many things that can go into Richardson's decision-making process, but I think, you could be concerned about him going to the Braves, but at the end of the day, it's man, listen, I love to rage, but it's if this is what's going to hold us up, despite the players that we have on this team, there's something wrong here. If your first base coach is a make or break, and you couldn't make the playoffs with him in the first place, Like there's something going on there. So you know what? And with things like this, whether it's first base, pitching, hitting, I mean, they had to replace a lot of spots in the coaching staff. And it's like, this is where you have to hope that Stearns knows what he's doing and that he brings in people who are going to be helpful. And I just feel that when we talk about all the roles that they've had to fulfill, I mean, this one's kind of at the bottom. I mean, the pitching coach decision, the hitting coach decisions, those are going to be much more impactful to what the Mets' success or failure are going to be. But also, like we said, like it's personnel. That definitely is part of it too. And it's like all of a sudden Soto not going to know how to steal bases anymore. It's possible, but overall, like what kind of team are you trying to assemble? Are you trying to assemble a team that's full of speed? I mean, it's just going to be very interesting to me is because, you know, there's been, like we said, talks of you might trade this player, you might not re-sign that player. So if you have different players, I always talk about like with coaching, you want to complement the players with the coaches. It has to be a good fit. Like these coaches and like the front office, they should all be on the same page. Like these are the kind of players we want, and this is how like we could get the most out of them. But if you're bringing in coaches for a certain group of players and then you change all of them later on, like how does that work too? Like, I mean, what? So it's going to be interesting, like how all these new coaches fit, like I said, whether it's first base, pitching, hitting, because there might be changes to the players too. And then it's like with Mendoza. I mean, I thought he had a brutal year this past year. They kept him, but he has another year like that. He's gone. So it's like, once again, now how does the manager match with all these new coaches you got? So it's like, you got rid of like 90%, but not the head guy. So there's just a lot of different things going on here. And time will tell, obviously, but I could understand people's frustrations, especially that the Mets did this well. But I mean, listen, you got more things to be worried about. You really do. I mean, we're going to get into it, but like, there's a lot of stuff they got to figure out here. So first base coach stinks losing them, but listen, I mean, you just need to be better. Like, listen, if you hit the ball over the fence, you don't got to worry about your first base coach. I mean, be more concerned about that.
Would be sick, wouldn't it? Would be awesome to see, you know, power potential be, you know, like
hit more doubles, hit more doubles.
Cool. Hit more doubles. That'd be cool.
Hit more doubles. That'd be cool.
And then all you need is the third base coach, which they actually just hired this week too. Tim Leaper. He was with the Padres. I don't know if I said that correctly, but maybe we will learn his name if he screws up, like, you know, the Sarballs or the DiSarcinas. I don't know, but you know, we'll see what goes on with the coaching staff and how things are applied here. But again, I said with this Anton Richardson thing, I already said it out here on the show. This is our 2025 version, this year's version of Jose Iglesias, and I can feel it so much because of what Frank just said. Losing Anton Richardson, if that is what sets them over the edge, just like I said with Jose Iglesias last year, if that is what sets you over the edge, maybe you're not that good of a team. And those types of questions have to be answered after the 2025 season that you just had, where you didn't even make the playoffs. So again, it's whatever. We'll see what happens, but I don't think they've made a first base coach hire yet. We'll see if they do. They eventually will. I don't think they're just going to leave it empty in memoriam of Anton Richardson. I don't think they're going to be that sentimental. I think, you know, life goes on, just like Anton Richardson just said in his quote of his exit from the organization. But, you know, there was an explanation as to why they couldn't give out pensions to a certain amount of coaches. They had to hire other guys because other things during the offseason had to happen. They had to make the coaching changes, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Jeremy Hefner, as quick as we can possibly make it, because we've talked about him plenty of times. Ibby's waving goodbye, and that's exactly how I feel. 6 years, very underwhelming 6 years. I don't think he was a liability, but I also didn't see anything special from him. I thought that he had some success with some players, but I wasn't seeing the, industry sources really like this guy. Why? For what reason? I mean, Frank, if you want to add with Hefner, I mean, we've already gone over this already. Like, it's just, how many times can we do it? But
it's been here a lot of years. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
We talked about the walk issues, the hit by pitches, the guys who maybe have some success elsewhere, but still, it's like there's not really too many success stories that like were long term. Guy came out of nowhere, you turned his career around. Like he doesn't really have that many stories of these like big time projects. Like wow, look at this guy, he's like really in good shape now because of Hefner. Like a lot of stuff doesn't sustain. Like you may see a guy have a few good months, but maybe because of overusage or other things, but ends up not working out for a lot of these players under Hefner.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever. I feel like it was a constant cycle, just a constant in general of everybody comes here, they just walk the entire ballpark, and you also get this constant of not going out to the mound, of these timely. I mean, we've talked about this so many times on here to just at nauseum at this point. If there's anything, Andrew, you want to add, Ibby, you want to add with Hefner? Like, I feel like this has been talked about so much because he's been here for 6 years that it's like
he was talked about in a bright light by a lot of people, but I understood. I was more shocked that they actually did it because of how he was spoken about. But I have no problem not losing sleep over him being let go. Just like it's dumb how a majority of the fan base wanted him gone, but then he goes to the Braves, and now we're clamoring and upset because he's on the Braves, and we think it's going to, be this, the shape-shifting type of move. You didn't want the guy here, so he goes somewhere else. Like, who cares? If anything, it should be a benefit for the Mets. If you think he stinks so much, then he's in Atlanta. So perfect. Like, in the end, who cares? He's gone. Willard's here. Let's move forward.
Yeah, he's from I'm pretty sure he's from the Southeast area, right? I'm pretty sure like he went somewhere.
I think he's from Oklahoma, but he's like spent some time like living near Atlanta or something like that.
So a homecoming for him. Homecoming for him. Isn't that
Enjoy.
Nice? Isn't that sweet? So either way, and if we see the walk totals going up for the Braves, we'll know why. Anyways, some comments in here that we can put in the chat as referring to Anton Richardson. Paul Revere, a legend of the TilMetsDoUsPart chat, saying, and how did all those stolen bases work out? They didn't make the playoffs. Exactly. So any change is good change at this point, especially when you have a $400 million payroll that you have invested into the team. D saying, I'm not sweating Anton leaving or that Hefner won't be missed, not by me. And also Brad here in the chat saying congrats to Beltran, Bobby V. There was somebody else who made it into the Mets Hall of Fame as well. So,
Lee Mazzilli.
Lee Mazzilli made it in. Yeah, and he's a local kid, right? Mazzilli. He was a local kid, former first round pick. So some good picks right there in Mets history. Yeah, he's from New York, New York. Just looked that up. Baseball Reference, great for everything except advanced stats. Anyways, when you talk about the coaching staff, like we said, to put a bow on it here, changes are going to be made. Not everybody is going to be submerged into a position. Everyone's looking to further their career. If he has the business part of baseball on his mind, Anton Richardson looked like he did, knowing that he had a lot of value from the season he just had individually as a coach, then, it's whatever. It's, if he wanted to move on or he needed to take another job, that's fine. Again, I don't have much of an attachment, but again, like I said, the Jose Iglesias comparison here, where the big highlight, the thing that lifted them so much, and if he ends up leaving, they're going to freak out. Like we said, if a 36-year-old Latin pop singer and a first base coach is what is keeping you afloat, that says a lot more about the team than the organization letting them go. Mm-hmm. That's basically it. And again, that goes for another conversation for some of the Ranger fans in here, if you understand what I'm saying, of bad players who they saw as leaders. Anyways, there is plenty that we have to talk about, obviously. Yeah, exactly. What is a hockey? That's the thing. But we'll see how everything pans out, obviously. Game for War saying Hefner and the pitching lab were overhyped and took all the credit for two pitchers pitching on their free agency year when everyone tries their hardest. Possible. Very possible. Yeah. It is very possible because we have seen a lot of pitchers here do well in their contract years. I mean, that's been, somebody mentioned Aaron Loop, who was another guy who was here on a one-year deal. he got a pretty good contract from the Angels after that amazing year that he had. So maybe there is a little bit of motivation. So I don't know, but hopefully there's a different message of, throwing more strikes from the new pitching coach in Justin Willard, who I don't know if that hire's been made official yet, but we'll see. Andrew, if you want to say any goodbyes to Jeremy Hefner, you can. Just don't say anything that'll get us canceled, because again, we're on another YouTube channel as well right now.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to take my opportunity, I'm not going to waste it on, Jeremy Hefner. But again, be gone, enjoy. Make sure you tell Spencer Schwellenbach, just walk everybody. Just throw balls out of the strike zone. Have him turn to poop. Turn Chris Sale back into Boston, end of tail Boston Red Sox Chris Sale. I'm trying to think who else is on that. Spencer Strider, tell him to throw more changeups. Strider, tell him to throw more changeups. Stop throwing 100 miles an hour. That's too good. Have him throw more changeups.
That's good advice. And there's no conflict of interest there. I don't think there is at all.
No, we're good.
But we're a half hour into the show already, and I think we can just move on from coaching talks and let's get into actual off-season talk, and let's get into the main topic that everybody wants to talk about because he's our guy. Pete Alonso on the free agent market. We got some latest reports about what has been going on with his free agency going into the GM meetings, and it looks like it's a little bit more positive, at least this week. Who knows? Things can change, but we have seen that it has been a little bit more positive compared to what we were seeing perhaps last year. But obviously, still a long way to go. Early in the offseason, you never know what monkey wrench will be thrown in there. But as for the latest reports that we have seen from Will Salmon of The Athletic, basically talking about the Mets' approach to Alonso with free agency, of how they are building the team, saying that in the first base market, Alonso stands out as the clear-cut best option by a landslide. Still, if the Mets bring him back, they'd have to balance his defensive deficiencies with exceptional offensive profile, given President of Baseball Operations David Stearns stated the goal to improve run prevention. That may include asking Alonso to start more games as a designated hitter. Now, there was a report from John Heyman, we all know is very close with Scott Boras. Pete Alonso's a Scott Boras client. Say what you will about John Heyman, but he did report this, saying that the Mets have open talks with Pete Alonso, saying this last night. At least on the surface, there seems to be a better feeling around those talks than this year than last. The nice start to the discussions could possibly bode well for the Mets' chances to retain Alonso, but his market should be much more robust this year than last year after a much better season, no qualifying offer attachment, and an apparent willingness to DH being a year older. Mets President of Baseball Operations David Stearns said to the media that he'd much like to have Alonso back, and he's telling people that Alonso's presence is important as a terrific producer and also as a protector for superstar Juan Soto, obviously in that lineup, batting behind him. So there's no confusion about the Mets' clear interest this year. So obviously the market's a little bit different. Like we said, no qualifying offer, better season that he had, so that it looks a little bit different. Andrew, I'm going to go to you first, obviously, with this, because this was the last conversation that we had regarding with Pete Alonso. You and me have been kind of on the same boat here about Alonso for a while, about his market, how fans value him, how it is viewed from the outside compared to it. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but hey, whatever. Either way, this is how I feel. I don't know if this is if you're still on the same wavelength as me here. Him willing to put himself in a DH equation gives me a little bit more motivation to maybe go a fourth or fifth year on that contract in free agency because of the value he could give you as a designated hitter. Because for me, at the beginning, before this even came out, I thought that DH was out of the equation. And I think that you thought that too. It's like he was going to market himself as a first baseman and then eventually become a DH. But if you're putting in DH ABs for Pete Alonso in 2026, that seems a little bit better of a sell compared to first baseman Pete Alonso, who thinks he's an amazing defender, wants to win a Gold Glove, never will, and is one of the worst defensive range-wise at first base. So would you agree that, like, yeah, the market looks a little bit better? Or is this pretty much the same as, you know, this offer, let him walk if he wants too much?
I mean, I guess maybe this is maybe Pete Alonso has hit the books and studied and, you know, gotten a little bit smarter since the last game of the season, because the fact that he is now saying admitting, yeah, I'm not that good defensively, I'll take some DH reps, it's a good thing. Do I think would that tell me, if I was in David Stearns, oh, he wants to be DH, if I'm adding a year or two more on my offer? No. But will the market be better? Yes, because again, like you said, no qualifying offer. Coming off a better year than he had last year. So you have, okay, he's coming off a better year than he did, no qualifying offer. We've already seen more teams linked to him in the first 48 hours of free agency than we did all of last year, that we saw even the Baltimore Orioles have been linked to Pete Alonso, which, you know, make that whatever you want to make that fake news. We obviously know Boston's going to be involved. We'll see. Maybe the Tigers, if they don't go get Bregman, maybe do they pivot there? Obviously, they do have Torkelson, but obviously the DH position's open there. Like, I do, you know, will the Yankees make a call? Probably. But you're still looking at the same kind of four teams. Now you take Toronto out because obviously they've given their extension to Vlad, so they're not in the market. So take one of the big suitors out there. You know, the Giants have Devers, so unless he's the full-time DH in San Francisco, maybe. But again, like, you're still looking at these same 3 or 4 teams. And unlike last year, where like it was, and you guys have a similar market where Christian Walker this year is Josh Naylor, where you have that kind of secondary, you know, better defensive guy, but it's not going to give you the offensive value that, you know, Alonso does. But also now you have Murakami and Akamoto coming over. So again, like, it's playing the balance of, okay, the market's a little bit better, but we're still looking at the same few teams. Like, unless you get, and even, you know, John Haben said his favorite thing, mystery teams. Ooh, like, could that be the Phillies? Like, if they trade a Castellanos and move Harper back to right, that can open up first base. And if they lose Schwarber, maybe that's a pivot for them. But we're still looking at the same 3 or 4 teams that you would think about. But the fact that he's willing to do the DH thing, for a guy, you know, and we know how I feel about the guy, that maybe gives me I would say a 5% up chance that he's back with the Mets. That he's already saying, hey, I will play DH. Like, it's like, okay, I give in. I know I suck defensively. I will play DH if maybe it gives me a chance to come back to the Mets. But I think the fact that this DH thing isn't this, oh my God, gee golly willikers, this is, you know, he's getting 3 more years on his deal. That's not happening. It's still probably going to be a 3 to 4 year deal. And like, it's a great that he's opening up to him, because again, that's what he is. He's a tub dub. Like, he should be a DH. Just go mash 50 homers and just hit. Like, that's what you're good at. I don't give a if I hear another person say he's good defensively because he led the league in scoops. Yes, scoops of ice cream. I do not give a shit about this I don't know where this came from. But if I hear another person on any podcast, radio station, TV network say, oh, he's really good defensively because they've scoops, I am going to bash my brains out. But besides the point. Again, I think this is a good thing for the Mets fan. If Mets fans should be happy and maybe think, hey, this is maybe a better side than maybe Stearns would be like, okay, now you're willing to play DH. It gives us to maybe go out and, if they want to get better defensively, now you can shift Pete to DH, and then maybe you sign a lower end good defensive first baseman to get the run prevention better while also keeping the bat of Pete Alonso. So Mets fans, that news is probably, if you want Mr. Pete Alonso, it's kind of a good thing that this came out. It raised the chances of him maybe coming back. Maybe.
I mean, Frank, I'll go to you on this one. You've talked about Pete Alonso designed as a DH before, definitely. We talked about his throws, not great. We talked about his range, not great, but he can scoop. He can really, really scoop. Either way. Would you say that this makes you a little bit more intrigued on the market to pursue it a little bit more? Are you feeling a little bit more comfy seeing, they've already started a little bit of talks, even though David Stearns hates Alonso so much? I mean, what does this bring some confidence up about the possibility of Alonso's future here?
For me personally, I'm not big on it. I don't love it. I have a few reasons why. I think number one, where you got to start is we're not talking about we have a blank team. We have nobody here. We're starting a baseball team from scratch, and we want a first baseman or DH, and Pete Alonso is available. Oh, let's get Pete Alonso. It's what do I already have on this team? What are my long-term plans? Because that's what we're talking about here. We are not talking about the 2026 baseball season. When we say, okay, no more opt-outs, we want to talk about 5-year deal, 6-year deal. We're talking about into the 2030s. So what does the New York Mets look like in the 2030s? Well, here's the thing. When you're talking about a long-term deal to Pete Alonso and maybe in the few years from now moving him to a DH position, well, who might be a DH in a few years? How about the guy who is in right field in the first percentile, which when it comes to that is the worst you could possibly be? He cannot move very well right field at age in his mid-20s. You think that's going to get better in the 2030s? No, that's going to get worse. So it's like we're talking about Pete Alonso as potentially being a defensive liability in some areas at first base, getting his pitchers injured, driving us nuts. He can't move. He hasn't much range himself. So you're talking about defensive liability already. How about the guy in the other corner in the outfield? Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
What do we do with him? He's declining at a rapid rate, and we might need him to move to DH. Brett Beatty, he's not a world beater at third base. I know he made some nice plays, some nice high plays, but you look at the actual advanced numbers. He's not an amazing third baseman either. And if Viento's bat is really good, he's going back to third base, and he can't play defense either. So it's just like and we talk about this so many times, how many leadoff hitters can you have? How many DHs can you have? Like, you can't have a team full of DHs. It's just not going to work out. And Carson, who's a free agent that we want so much that probably don't get, but we really want him? Kyle Schwarber. Because we actually do need a real DH, because here's the problem. Yeah. If the Mets don't bring back Pete Alonso, you're like, oh, well, you know what? The Mets need a first baseman. If you bring back Pete Alonso and you put him to DH, do you know what the Mets still need? A first baseman! Like, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of we need someone who plays first. We need both. Mm-hmm. We need one guy at first base and another guy who's a good power hitter at DH. So it's like, it's not this either or kind of thing. We need both. We need two separate players. This team is in need of more. I mean, we saw last year just wasn't enough. Period. We talk about protection for Pete Alonso. I mean, having Jeff McNeil bat behind him, that was a disaster. Like, so again, it's like you want to talk about having Pete, but it's like, look what you already have committed, who's already signed for the long term. Well, if you bring back Pete, well, what does that do with Soto? What does that do with Nimmo? What does that do with the line construction? McNeil batting after him? Like, there's other things you have to factor for. It's not as simple as, do I want Pete Alonso on my team? Yes or no. It's, does he fit with what I already have here? If I have to eat money and move Nimmo, and now McNeil's got thoracic outlet, I got to move him. Like, you got to do so many different things to get this to work out. I mean, who knows? And we've talked about this before too, but this whole idea of quantity over quality at the first base position, it might be something we have to consider since we have so many different issues right now. So to me, the DH thing, it doesn't help me too much because I have plenty of other guys who I might need to make DHs.
I mean, you never know what the thought of it, what the thought of it is. You probably, no matter what you shift around, you're going to have a liability somewhere. Like that's the problem. And obviously with Nimmo in the lockdown, you have Juan Soto here for the next 14 years and counting. But if you were to talk about the combination of Pete Alonso getting a little bit of DH time, and then also, where do you put Vientos? You have Mauricio in the equation too, because like you have so many things as to where you don't know how to view the team right now with Pete Alonso in it, because it doesn't really make that many changes. Pete Alonso at DH makes the team better, I'd say, on paper. I think we all can agree. However, who would play first base? Again, you could talk about another guy that the Mets have been linked to recently of somebody at first base, but it seems like it's going to be one or the other as to what we are looking at. So it seems like young guys are going to fill in some of these holes or whatever. But again, it's a good point. It's a good point as to looking at it long term for Pete Alonso's long term success. It's like Nimmo, Soto also could be in that DH discussion if things continue to go the way that they are in the corners defensively for them. So who knows? Ibby, I'll tag you in here.
Because also it's like Soto and Nimmo are just getting older. So like you already have some defense because there's corners. That's only getting worse. So it's
I don't see Soto as old yet.
Yeah.
No. I don't see Soto as old yet. So
no, but I'm saying it's not gonna get better. The corner defense is not getting better. It's getting worse as time goes on. So no matter what,
talking
you already
about
know
Soto as an old man at 27 years old, like that's a little bit uncomfy for me.
He moves like an old man at right field, though. I mean, he can't move.
But he stole all those bases. That means he's fast now.
Still can't move right field. Doesn't try. Not diving, not jumping. It's not pretty out there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's going to be people who will bring up the internal fix of Ryan Clifford, and there's going to be some talks about some other guys on the market who could play first base, and maybe you get them for a first base DH combo. Both of your DH options are on the free agent market and likely are not coming back. Marte, Winker are not going to come back. Your DH option right now is Vientos, but Vientos is already your first baseman right now too. So again, they're going to have to shift some things in and out, or you're still going to see a liability here. Ibby obviously absorbing all of this from, the DH conversation, from what Pete wants. Scott Boras also bringing out his alliterations that he did, which, if it was anybody else, you thought that, they were having a stroke. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on this market? Have they changed when you hear DH, or do you think it's pretty much the same as to how they're building the team?
I mean, I struggle with this one when I think about it daily, mainly because I feel like this team is like borderline stuck, because when you're talking about the offense, I see someone in the comments said before how, if you don't have Pete on this team, then who's protecting Soto? You have a huge hole in this lineup in terms of production. And I think a lot of Mets fans are just afraid at the moment, at least, because if Pete's not here, you're constantly asking that question, like, well, what's going to be, the replacement? How, like, what the unknown is what's scaring people the most. So that's why they latch on to what they know. I'm not saying that because I want Pete gone or anything, because I think his offense is a huge part to the success for this offense in general, with everyone else, the Lindors, the Nimmos, the Sotos of the world. Having him here helps. But if he is willing to be a DH and he understands that it could possibly land him another year or two based off of where a lot of teams were last year, that being 2 to 3 years, as he's shooting for 4 to 5 years now instead. I still think he's going to struggle. And I think it was Andrew who said it. It's the same suspects. It's the same teams that are looking at him as a fill-in for them. And I think, honestly, I really think it's one team. The way I look, I think it's just Boston. I really do. I think Boston makes the most sense. And I think that if they were willing to spend, which I still question if they really are, I still think that they're cheap. I do. And of course, when you guys mentioned the Yanks too, like they make a call, like that's going to be Boras doing his thing because he just
they
wants
have
to
like
play
4
the New York
DHs
teams.
too, right?
Right, just using the New York market to play off of each other. But it's Boston that makes the most sense. And I saw something before saying how some people within the Boston's front office are having the debate between, who would rather go after, that being Alonso or Schwarber. That's kind of split in what they want in terms of that front office. So I think that that's really the only team, in my opinion, that can be posed as a threat. Of course, other things can happen, but if he's willing to be a DH, I think it opens up the discussion. But to Frank's point, which was the one I was also going to make, this isn't just about this year. It's never just about the 1 year. It's about going forward. And when you have an older team, in a sense, And you don't want to lock in a bunch of old players with a 26-year-old moving forward. I should say 27-year-old Juan Soto, who's going to be the core of your team. You don't want him surrounded and landlock your team with these huge contracts of old players and not being able to take advantage of the talent of a hitter that Juan Soto is, which is why I think the Mets specifically are so hesitant to go long-term with Pete, because they feel as though that they're locked in with a lot already. I love Francisco Lindor, but he's getting older, obviously. I love Brandon Nimmo, but he's a lumbering left fielder that should be taking more reps at DH and probably should pick up a first base glove at this point, because he's not pretty to watch in the outfield, and you want to keep him healthy, but he's here for another 5 years. So I don't think that this team wants to marry this same exact core the way that it's been constructed over the last 5 years, and it's been unsuccessful. I think that they're willing to try something new. And for a lot of Mets fans, it's hard because they look at the production and they say, well, this guy isn't the problem. He should be part of the solution. And I'm not saying that you're wrong in thinking that. I just think that everything that we've seen to this point, and because of the sins of prior front office, you have to try and move things around a little bit and try to do something a little bit different. Otherwise, as Carson always likes to put out there, when you constantly do the same thing over and over again and think you're going to get a different result, it's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, Pete Alonso individually, we've talked about it before. Pete Alonso individually has had a great career, and he is destined. Yeah, he is destined for the 500 home run club when it's all said and done. But is it correct business with the Mets certain situation to bring him back because of those individual stats that he has? To be honest, probably not, because again, we will ask the constant question and everyone will say, who's replacing Pete Alonso? What are the Mets without Pete Alonso? What are they with him? What are they with him? Not in the playoffs. And everyone can tell me that, you know, the starting pitching has failed them, and that was the reason. And that also can be true.
True.
But again, what about the times they had good pitching? When they had Pete Alonso and good pitching. They've had good pitching seasons. 2022, nothing. 2019, in and out, half and half rotation. Nothing. 2023 was supposed to be a good rotation. They put a lot of money into that rotation. Nothing. So we're not just talking about 2025. We're talking about 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25. That's now 5 years under Steve Cohen. Nothing has happened. And Ethan says it perfectly in the chat. Someone in the core has to go. Someone. They have to move something. And I'm seeing a lot of people say Nimmo in the chat, which again, I hear you. I hear you what that contract's doing. Yeah, some people are saying, like in the chat here, saying, you know, Nimmo's Nimmo has to move. He's got an aircraft carrier contract. He does. No one's denying that. I don't think anybody is denying that. Do I think that Nimmo can be better what he's been recently? Probably offensively. I think the defense at this point, we have no idea what's going to go on there, but we also knew that they signed an 8-year contract knowing the health concerns that he does have and knowing the health limitations that he has. He's been relatively healthy recently.
He played 150 games, right?
Yeah. He's surpassed 150 games a lot recently, and that was one of the main reasons as to why we couldn't see him as an everyday player when he first came into the league. But again, it's more of the reality of the situation as to comparing let's make trades, let's make fantasy trades, let's constantly go in and out, and these are the changes we have to make. Here's the reality of the situation, because I feel like this gets reiterated all the time. Everyone says that Nimmo needs to go. And I'm not disagreeing with you if you're saying that we need to trade Brandon Nimmo, because if that's good for the sake of the team, as much as I like Nimmo, teams won nothing. Like we said, make changes, go ahead. If you could possibly do it, try to find a way to do it. But here's the hurdles you got to cross. He is signed through 2030. He has a no trade clause. He was signed to be a center fielder, but he's playing left field, does not play center field anymore. So he's already an overpaid left fielder. So what team is going to want that? Again, and I know that a lot of people dream of Nimmo getting traded somewhere because of that contract. And again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not. Even Andrew could say he's a Nimmo fan. He knows what that contract does. He even said it the day of him signing the contract. And that contract's terrible. They didn't overpay in AAV, but they overpaid in years. Do you think Brandon Nimmo's worth 8 years, especially after what we're seeing right now? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Andrew, I mean, if you want to tag along with that, I mean, we are aware of what Nimmo's contract is. We know. We're aware. But it's like, who's taking that? Who is? There's no possibility where that's going to happen. And that's why we talk about it's like, is Pete Alonso, is it smart to give that money to Pete Alonso or continue to lock these guys up when they've either done nothing or they're already locked up and not movable?
Yeah, and I think now, especially Joel Sherman decides to put some, gasoline on the Mets fans' dream of trading Nimmo, because I think Sherman put out a report that the Mets had at least some internal thoughts of how much money it would take. But again, like you said, you could talk to the teams and say, hey, you will eat half the money if you want it. Brandon Nimmo could just say, no, I'm good. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Stearns can manipulate a perfect deal and get the money to Matt. If Nimmo don't want to go, Nimmo's not going anywhere. So unless you pull just absolute dick move and just treat him like shit when we get to spring training, or start bashing him on Twitter, if David Stearns or Steve Cohen goes on Twitter and just starts disgrating him, that's the only way you're getting rid of him, because he has all the power. And I think you, Carson, we said in the group chat, everyone's like, oh, Pete wants to be a Met for life. Pete wants to be a Met for life. But the one guy that signed that wanted to be a Met for life took less money, because Toronto Blue Jays, if we don't remember, offered him more money to go to Toronto, who wanted to be a Met for life, is the guy that they want shipped out of here. Isn't the irony is a great sweet drug sometimes. No, again, if I could move him, as much as I love him, because get that money off the books. If you get McNeil off the books plus Nimmo, that's a damn fairy tale. We can get both of them off the books. Even if you're getting a little bit of money, that's close to let's call it $25, $30 million off the books. Am I logged out?
No,
you're good.
You're here.
Am I still good? Okay, my phone's been acting weird, so sorry about it. But if you can find a way, prove it, maybe you go to them and say, hey, you want to go home, go play for Colorado, go home that way, because there's no contend.
I think he just. All right. Well, we'll get back to Andrew, but again, it's like the decisions that everybody wants to make of these certain guys. It all really does get fueled up to, well, Steve Cohen's got more money than everything. Steve Cohen's got it's still just not a sustainable way for this team to function, just throwing money at whatever. Because I'm sure when we talked about it 3 years ago, people wanted to keep Nimmo. People wanted to keep Diaz. Now all of a sudden it's an aircraft carrier of a contract. We again, things change. Things will continue to change. Things need to be fluent. And there's the reason as to why we talk about the short-term deals and the flexibilities and the player options and putting those types of things keep your roster flexible when things go wrong. And for the Mets, majority of the time, things have gone wrong. So again, when you talk about Brandon Nimmo, I understand wanting to get rid of that contract because it's not a good one. It isn't, because of the term, obviously. And also the positional value, which he doesn't even provide in center field anymore. We are well aware of it, but there's 5 years left on that deal. And again, like everyone says with Pete Alonso, had to extend him, and we had to do this, we should have done that. The only way to fix it is with a time machine. That's the only thing that you can do. And to be honest, I don't think anybody's working on one right now. I just don't. But I mean, other than that, I'll go around the loop one more time in regards to Pete Alonso. The highest that you guys would go, either years-wise, money-wise. Ibby, I'll start with you, obviously. I think we all know what range we're looking at right now, but there's got to be a cutoff. We know that there has to be. I mean, what would be your thoughts? Like, what would be the area that you're looking at, and what area would you say it's like, okay, this is too much? Boris, you're going nuts here.
Anything, if we're talking guaranteed 5, 6, 7 years, way too much. Goodbye. Like I've been saying that for a while. So when Mets fans, jump on that after the season thinking he just give him that, like, I disagree. I'm more of the 3, 4 years. I would say at 4 years, 112, that would be 28 a year for 4 years. I think that's like, for me, that's like the tippy top almost. I think I said on the show a couple weeks ago, I said that, they might offer like 125 just to try and close something, 120, 125, something like that, across the 4 years. So they don't have to go the extra years, give more in terms of AAV. But that's, for me, 28 a year, 4 years. That's kind of where I am. And I still wonder if that's going to be enough. That's if the Red Sox are a legit player. Otherwise, he's going to be a lot cheaper, because I don't really buy anyone else being a player for him. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what that market looks like. We all know that Boris is going to push it. We saw reports of the Orioles being a huge threat.
Mike Elias is a terrorist.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we don't disagree. Frank, I'll go to you, obviously. I mean, everyone has the limits here. It has to have a limit. Are you giving him 200 million? You throwing maybe 350 at him, possibly? I don't know. Cause again, there's nothing you can do. I mean, like Andrew, we were talking about last week, there's no options. It's just Pete.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one, but I think for me, like, my cup, as far as years, I don't want to go over 5. I just think anytime you're talking about a player that's over 30, no matter who it is, anytime you're going past 35, like, no matter what, it's a decline. So I never think it's a great idea to pay for a guy that's on the decline. Like, ideally, you'd want to avoid that. Sometimes you have to give that extra year to get a deal done. I mean, Marte with the Mets was a perfect example. They had to give him that 4th year. We knew the 4th year was not good. It's what sold it, because there were many suitors. So, I mean, if you had to give him an extra year, you could, but I wouldn't really want to. But I think overall with first base, like we say, it's a tough position too, because how much value do you really get from the first base position? I mean, there's a wide range. Like, you look at a guy like Olsen and Freeman, like, they're making low 20s per year from first base. But then you have someone like Vlad, who's much younger and a better player, who's making anywhere from like 35 to 40 million, and then going down to 30. He's got a descending contract. So, like, with first base, it's like, really, I want to stay under 30 per year, and like try to not go more than 5. So, and like we said before, I feel like the contracts that the Mets had offered him, like, way back when, I thought they were pretty fair deals for the position of first base. Like, they were pretty close to market value. Even this contract that he declined, it was like 24 million this year. That's pretty good for first base. That makes you, like, I think the second highest paid to Vlad, if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to first base position. So you're telling me second highest paid first baseman is not enough? It's like, I don't know how much more I really could go. I mean, to be honest with you, especially when you consider, like, I'm already maxed out as is in my tax bracket. Like, I already have big contracts on my roster. You just can't be going them out like crazy. I know Kona has a lot of money, but it's still just not the greatest move when you're ready in this situation. Like, you have to prioritize who you really want long term, and I think that when you give Soto the contract you did, when you give Lindor the contract you did going over 10 years, like, those are the two guys you really want the most. So you made that decision already, and like we know, I mean, sometimes pitching is a big thing. I mean, I don't think we're going to talk about like school ball today, but like, if you ever considered it next offseason, that's someone I'd give a lot of money to. So
Yeah.
like you really have got to just kind of think like when we're talking about long term, is this the guy that, compared to all the free agency classes that are coming up and what I already have, this is the guy I want to pay a lot of money to. I mean, maybe internally, do I want to pay Nolan McClain a lot of money? Maybe. Like there's other things you've got to consider when we're talking about long-term deals. But what other long-term decisions might I have to make between now and then? It's tough. So for me, like I said, I don't want to go over 5. I'd like to stay under 30 because, again, at first base, it's just not a position should be overpaying.
All right. Well, while this conversation was happening, Andrew just said his little 2 cents. He said minor league deal, and that's it. So, Andrew, if you want to reiterate on that, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was a spring training minor league deal where, if he gets 50 scoops, he gets $1 million. So, some bonuses with scoops in the contract. I think I'll do kind of similar to what Ibby. I think I'll do if there's a Red Sox interest, I'll go 4 years with maybe if it has to be a 5th year, but it's not going to be a hard 5th year. I'm giving it either mutual. I'm probably a 5th year mutual. I'm not going full, 5 years. I give you your 4 years, 28, 29, 27, $28 million over that. If the Red Sox are just this year's Blue Jays we're just here to, try to get Boris's, negotiation team, 3 years, 3 years, 75. Like if I'm not bidding against myself, 3 years, 26 million a year. Like, but again, it just depends if we have real suitors. And again, I think him not having a qualifying offer, because I think this is the other thing, which I don't think we're taking into consideration here. Schwarber has the QO. What if teams that want Schwarber, they can get similar value from similar to Schwarber from Alonso, obviously it's just right-handed compared to a lefty. What if the teams that want Schwarber now who don't want to give the draft pick, now you can go, let's say, why are we going to sign Schwarber and give the draft pick? Because maybe they can pivot to Alonso. So you do have to play that into consideration. So again, as of right now, we only see one team, that being Boston. But again, there are other teams, as Scott Boras says, mystery teams. 3 or 4 years, 28 is the AAV. If you get into a bidding war, I'm not, again, like Frank said, I'm not locking up another long-term deal here for a, non-athletic, bad base running, bad defender, good scoops, good bat. I'm sorry. He has value.
Strawberry, though.
He did pass Dale Strawberry, but, it's a fraudulent home run record. Your team record, home run record is 250. You're just kind of a fraud franchise. What does that mean?
You said strawberry. I thought we were talking ice cream. I really did.
That's a good flavor, It's Neapolitan right now. Pretty good. Nice big old scoop of Neapolitan it would hit right now.
I don't know. I don't know where we just went there, but again,
Carson, what ice cream do you like?
Ice cream that I like.
Carson doesn't like ice cream.
Carson, he just
can't really have ice cream anymore because it makes me feel like crap. But I'm a cookies and cream guy.
Me too. That's a great choice.
I am the biggest Oreo simp known to man. Let's just say that.
Okay.
There's a huge index into that, but we don't have time for that. Either way,
I feel like we do. It's the opposite. I think we have time for some ice cream. But,
yeah, exactly. We're just waiting for something to happen. Yeah, exactly. Just sitting here.
While we're waiting, let me just take out the freezer.
Yeah, the best design, the best ice cream design, and what is the certain best amount of ice cream? We can get into that, obviously.
The advanced analytics, right?
Expected sprinkle. That is. Anyways.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do have an offer that, again, I didn't have this. I had this originally in our plan here for the show, and then reports went haywire and went nuts. But I think bringing this up as of right now, considering his current market and how it went last year, this is the offer that I would give to him in this take it or leave it sense of the basis, especially in term, AV, whatever. But this was the offer that I originally had here, which was 3 years, $90 million, and the salary would kind of be backloaded a little bit just because of the space on the luxury tax and players going off of it. $28 million for year 1 of the contract, $30 million for year 2, $32 million for year 3. 2029 is a $32 million conditional club option, which becomes a player option with 625 plate appearances in 2018. This would go up to $122 million in contract value. He would be ranked 52nd among major league players in over contract value. He would be second in first base rank behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is not going to be passing, so it's not going to happen. And the annual value would be $30.5 million. He would be ranked 18th in AAV in the major leagues, and then, of course, second, like we said, behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But I think, the consensus of him being in the DH equation, maybe that makes it a little bit flexible, but I mean, I'm not adding another $30 million a year. That probably would bring down that AAV. You also have to kind of bring in the thought of Scott Boras overpay, where he's going to try and pinch every single penny out of you. So again, to me, this is the highest I would go. But I also would send a message to considering what just happened last year in protection of that. Be like, here's the offer. It's going to be here by a certain time. It'll be here the whole time. And if you don't want it, out the door you go. Like, that's the thought that I have of, that's it. Like, we're not going to do this song and dance. We're not going to drag this out, because from the initial conversation that we're getting, oh, well, they're going to start off at 7 years. I am not waiting that long for it. I'm not waiting that long for him to come down on that. So again, we don't know how quickly it's going to go, but 3 years, 90 million, a possible fourth year, maybe. I think that's the range that we're looking at. Maybe you guys have a little bit lower AVs that you would go for. That's fine. But it's like, he says no to that. Like, I'm not doing an entire song and dance. I'm not up for it. And for everyone says, well, he's the best option, you got to do the song and dance. No, I don't. I don't need to do it. Because what has this team warranted for that to happen? To keep retaining these pieces, like we said. If you want it, you want it. That's fine. But it's like, whatever. Andrew, thoughts on that? 3 years, 4 years, take it or leave it. This is on the table, or not, screw off.
Yeah, it's similar to what kind of the Bregman deal. I think Bregman got the $40 million from the Red Sox last year. Again, it's a good idea, but I think, yes, you want to play that game, and yes, there are options. But I just don't think Owen's going to let him do that. And I just don't think I don't think Stearns has the balls to say, all right, enough's enough. I got shit I got to do. Take it. I don't think he has that's in him. So if I thought I had a GM like a Dave Dombrowski, that's the type of GM that would say, hey, here's my offer. Take it or leave it. I'm actually going to move on. I just don't think Cohen's going to let Stearns do it. And I don't think Stearns has the cojones to say, I don't care about the kids. I don't care about the polar bear suits. I don't think they're going to play around here. And if they get him at their price, that's the only way he's coming back. So it's going to be mid-February, and we're still going to be talking about, oh, here's a Pete Alonso update. Scott Boras said he ate a turnip today. And, it was a blue and orange turnip. Oh, that's a nice sign. Like, we're going to be playing a song and dance. And that's just how it's going to be. And we got a long winter to go. Again, there are not better options, but there are options.
A fucking turnip.
Turnip.
Nice, man. Is that your word of the day calendar? What the fuck was that?
But again, I think the offer is great. I just don't think, there's enough balls in that organization to make it, and especially for that fan backlash, especially coming off the season you just had. Like, that would be Stearns going full heel to a fan base who already despise him. So again, I do it, but I'm not David Stearns.
All right. Again,
I mean, there's one thing I'll throw on real quick, only because I just saw the tweet from Laura Albanese, and it's just talking about how, whether it's somebody having, whether it was Stearns having the balls to do something, or how we were joking before we went live about how, we're going to change all these things, but everyone's coming back, so we're not really changing anything. Like, when I see this comment here saying how Soto strongly advocates for re-signing Alonso and Marte on Pete, I hope we can have more times to come and more fun together. On Marte, you need a guy that helps you the most through those tough times and tries to bring the team back to where it's supposed to be. I again, like, it's comments like that, because it's your best player. Alonso is the best player on this team. When he comes out and says things like that, I think a fan base is going to try to attach to that as well and say, you got to do these things. It's what the star wants. You got to bring these guys back. It's what he wants. It's going to make him do better. We want him comfortable. We want him hitting 40 home runs and this and that. But I mean, I remember I said it on our show in the midst of McNeil and Marte doing their best during this past season. I was like, Mets fans have to be able to dream a little bit bigger and actually want better players, because it can help you in the long run, and you want sustainability so badly. Like, you have to be able to move forward. I know Pete's a different topic, but I can understand like Marte and mentorship when it came to Soto and everything, since he came up and everything, but I can't have I'm sorry, you can't have Starling Marte on this team. You can't. I'm sorry. You just can't.
Yeah. If you do it, I mean, listen. If you were to bring back Starling, like, where the hell would he play? Where?
Come back as a coach. Come back as a coach.
Oh, he's coming back
No
as a center
pension,
fielder.
though.
Never mind.
No
he can play
pension.
center field.
No, he's the
pension
first
for
Just
base
put him in
coach.
center field.
There you go. There's your first base coach. Starling Marte.
I mentioned it
There you
already.
go.
I mentioned it.
Solid.
I think Starling Marte would be a good first base coach.
He can
I
hold
think
the
he
batting
would.
gloves. He can hold the ugly mitts. He can do that.
That's
Sure.
the vacancy we have right now. We have our
That's
third
what he
base
can
coach,
do.
right? Pitching coach, hitting coach, all good. Bench coach is here. I mean, this is exactly what I said. Didn't I say this before the offseason even started? I was like, these guys are not going to be able to handle Starling Marte leaving. Do we understand how we're looking at this? Like, everyone is all great friends. Awesome. That's so cool. Cool story, bro. Like, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. And the fact that we're getting quotes like that after this team just catastrophically choked away a playoff spot and looked nothing like a playoff team for a majority of the season, this is what worries me. This is the type of stuff that worries me. Are we going to do another advocate report for Jeff McNeil too? Saying that, like, we can't move any of these guys. They're all friends. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of mentality that I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? It's a loser mentality. That's what it is. If you want me to dig into the dirt a little bit. But hey, Juan Soto's your star, so I guess we got to bring back Starling Marte and make the bench even worse, because apparently we have 8 bench spots. That's basically, we have an 8-man bench. It's this type of thing, because like, what is going to be the response if they don't bring back Marte? Is Soto going to get fed up in year 2 of this 15-year contract? Like, this is the problem that I have with this.
That'll be a story. I guarantee someone's going to write it.
I'm sure it will be. It'll
write
come
that
out here
story.
in 2031 that it all stems back to them, but Juan Soto going completely AWOL and completely missing in action, and we haven't seen him in 4 years. It's because they got rid of Marte. It's like professional athletes. Like, this is what's being made public. And I'm not saying that you should completely invest in it, and I'm sure that they will be fine and they will do their job if Starling Marte is here no matter what. But after seeing the impact of what Jose Iglesias had on this team and how detrimental that seemed, it's like, how soft are you? Are you actually in this winning mentality to do so? Because I have not, I mean, Frank, we've talked about it a lot. I am not seeing a team that has a consistent desire to win. I really don't. I feel like it's so fragile of, well, it needs to be in this certain situation. Everything needs to be so perfect.
I mean, this is
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Same team we're talking about, though, that in a do or die game against the Miami Marlins, they scored 0 runs. I mean, and this is a team that was 0-1,000,000 when trailing after 8 innings. Like you said, this is a team that showed no fight. I mean, there was no sense of urgency in most games, despite how much of a disappointment they were having for a long majority of the season. Like you said, I mean, there were times where they won that we were like, that was not a good brand of baseball that they just played, even though they won. So, I mean, there was just a lot of things wrong with this team. And still, like, with Marte from a veteran leadership standpoint, he again, at least on the field, I mean, he's not vocal. We know that. Doesn't hustle. I mean, like, it just a lot of times kind of a lot of times lackadaisical in the batter's box. I mean, we talk about looking at strikes, swinging at pitches out of the zone. I mean, like, he did all of those things. Like, a lot of things that were wrong with the team are things that Starling Marte did. So I just don't understand why, like, this is the guy we want to, like, lead us or try to emulate. You know, maybe he's, like, a cool dude to hang out with in the clubhouse and, like, a good friend, I guess. But it's like, when we're talking about, like, true veteran leadership, that's not it. Like, that is not someone that you want to have to mentor your players and things of that nature. Even when they had lost, I mean, again, listen, I watch everything, I overreact to everything, but when they lost that last series,
I know exactly where you're going to go to.
Yeah. You saw this, right? Yes.
Yes.
Starling Marte turned to the crowd, having a total failure, total disaster collapse, pumping his fists. Like, yeah, we did it. We blew the season. Like, what are you cheering for? We're on the road anyway. Like, I mean, have some self-awareness. I mean, like, does it bother you that you were just a disaster?
Definition of this season right there. Yeah.
I mean, this is who we want to lead. This is our leader.
Yeah. He's best
like,
friends
it's
with
okay
Soto.
to lose. Yay, we did it. We got through a crappy season.
Yeah. Put it out of our misery. Yep. That's it. I understand that Soto is friends with Marte. He probably was one of the main reasons as to why, you know, actually, no, I think there's 765 million reasons that he came over here. But again, it's this whole thing of, you know, if you let the players continue to call the shots, what good is that going to do if you don't let everybody else do their job? And there's plenty of this that I've seen from a different team. Like I said, if you want to reference hockey again, what's a hockey? I get it. But that's what happened over there. It's a country club over there. They're complacent. I don't want to see this complacency. I don't want this to continue. Shut up. I don't want this.
Go hockey.
I don't want this to continue. Again, it's not... I'm not here to say, oh, let's cater to the friends. Let's cater to everybody's best friends. But again, these are the types of repercussions. I blame Scott Boras. That's all. I blame Scott Boras because when you make a deal with the devil, you got to lose some kind of a limb here. When you bring in Soto here, you got him for 15 years. He's a great guy, but you got to include Starling Marte no matter what. Brandon Nimmo, 8 years. Remember, he's a Boras client too, right? What's going to be the stipulation with Pete? Free ice cream in the dugout? Is that it? Free ice cream for everybody in the stands if he hits a home run? And one of our good buddies, another fellow podcaster, Subway to Shea, Anthony Rivera, saying here in the chat, saying, hasn't Cohen given these players everything they wanted and they still can't get into the playoffs? It's weak. Exactly. And there's no way anybody can agree of just like, oh yeah, give these guys whatever the hell they want. You know, he's the star player. You failed. You have to hold it to the same standard. The team failed. Everyone wants to say it's a team game until you talk about the individual players that have a conflict of interest of fans, or they have a conflict of interest of, well, I'm going to hold this over you. This is ridiculous. But, I mean, I don't want that mentality. I don't. I hate it. There's a reason why that hockey team makes me so sick. This is the reason why. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous way. Either you're coming from the fans' emotions or you're coming from the emotions of the players. It's like, you're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm sorry, I just don't feel bad. I don't. Because I don't know them as people. I just don't. It's just like, changes have to be made when you fail. You have to make changes. Something's got to go. And one of those pivotal pieces that we can even talk about and bring up, Jeff McNeil just underwent a procedure for thoracic outlet syndrome. I didn't even know that position players get that. So is he not going to be traded because of that now? Is that a factor as well? Because he ain't getting any older. He ain't getting any younger. So it's like, what can move here? What? For the same team that continues to fail. And that's the reason why we say, maybe slow the brakes on Pete Alonso and consider other options. He doesn't have to be the guy that goes. And maybe they could bring him back in some sort of way and make those options. But it's like, there's other guys here where it makes it either crowded, they're too old. They got to change something. Something's got to change. I mean, Frank, if you want to, like, I don't know how else we can say this. It's like, the team doesn't benefit from paying these players like they can carry them. And that's that whole discussion of give Pete Alonso $200 million because that's what he deserves. And he's been so great for this team. That's great. But what are you changing within the team? Nothing. And maybe they're coached better. Maybe that's what they need. They just need new coaches. But you're going to sit here and say that since Pete Alonso's been here, it's been 7 years, that's the only coaching change that needs to be made. I'm sorry, I have questions here. Especially from a report we just got of, it's like, oh, I need my friends Marte and Alonso, but like, you're telling me that's it? It's just they're poorly coached, which again I agree with.
No, but the problem with that whole argument, like you said, Pete Alonso's been here a long time. He's been through 2 owners, a bunch of GMs, a bunch of hitting coaches, a bunch of managers. Like, how many times are you going to change the coaches and we're going to still say it's the coaches? And again, not all Pete's fault. Not all Pete's fault.
No,
but
no one's saying
something has to change. And again, it's like the Mets put themselves in this, like I said, they put themselves in this position. When they decided to keep Nimmo, they extended Jeff McNeil. Like, you could end up in this scenario. Listen, how could you avoid this? I don't know. Maybe pay Pete Alonso when he was like a second-year player. You could have done that before Pete Alonso even hired Boris. You could just extend him there, like most teams in Major League Baseball do. They extend the young players that they prioritize, and more times than not, they get great value. They don't have to pay an astronomical amount before they even get a Scott Boras in their corner. So it's like, again, the Mets put themselves in this situation with multiple decisions that they made when you kind of have to know the consequences. Like, it doesn't all just work out. You get to keep all your guys for however much money you want to and have all your favorite players. Like, that's not how it works. I mean, a lot of times there is a business side to it. And, you know, there's a lot of things they have to account for. I mean, listen, they still have Frankie Montas on the books. Hurt. He's a disaster. Sean Manaea. I mean, these are decisions they just made this past offseason. Manaea, multi-year deal. He was not good last year. We're paying him over $20 million. So it's like, these are things you have to consider when you're adding on more contracts. Like, you already have all these other guys you're still paying who aren't good. So, I mean, where else are you going to change stuff up? You know, where else is there going to be something different that you could really do for this team? Because, again, like we're saying, like, if you traded Nimmo, let's play the game. You trade Nimmo and you say, okay, I need to pay some of the money. What am I getting for him? Like, I'm saying Nimmo didn't play great, but I trade Nimmo, and now how is my team better? Who did I get?
You're getting Tatis.
Oh,
that's
right.
What you get.
Yeah, the Nimmo for Tatis trade, because that's happening. Yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, we can complain about Nimmo. We say, oh, we trade Nimmo, but how did we get better? Who did we get? McNeil. Oh my gosh, it's the shoulder. He's a problem. Let's get rid of McNeil. Okay, but who did we get? Like, where did we still get better? I mean, that's the thing too, is we could say, oh, we'll get rid of these guys and we'll keep Pete. Okay, but now who's playing left field? Who's playing second base? And you don't keep Pete. Who's playing first base? Like, there's still just a lot of things that have to be figured out here. And for me, when we talk about the suitors, I don't understand why the Yankees aren't a bigger suitor. I don't get that. Like, they have an opening at first base with a willingness to spend and a guy who played in New York. And listen, with Bellinger, is he a first baseman? Is he an outfielder? We don't know. I mean, are they keeping Cody? Because, I mean, you could say the same thing for the Yankees. Why would you run back the same team? You can make the same argument. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't understand why, especially with the lengths that they're willing to go to Soto, offer over $700 million. I just don't understand why they wouldn't be in that market. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 contracts that we've already had videos that have been out. One came out yesterday, and one came out last week of two guys that it only makes sense to move them in order for them to make some drastic changes. Even though before they hit that surcharge, it's like $40 million. Again, one contract that you put out there with this market, you're not going to have much space to maneuver to improve this team entirely because they have as many contracts on the books as they do. And they're not in a hot mess here. But also there's a firm argument that tells you that you don't need to worry about money. Sure, that's kind of true technically because Steve Cohen is so wealthy. But then there's also this argument, like what we just said with Pete Alonso, of where will we be without Pete? What have you done with Steve Cohen's money? You've done nothing. And especially the most money that he has spent, some of these guys are not even on the team anymore. I mean, this is turning into just a full Mets Weekly rant here, but Ibby, I mean, if there's anything that you want to put onto a bow of this, it's just like, I don't know how many times
the only thing,
you can't have both. You know, you can't eat at every single part of the buffet here. It's like you got to do something, unless you're.
I had said episode 1 of Till Mets Do Us Part, and that was 4 years ago. Now we're on episode 218 tomorrow, and I said that money with Steve Cohen. Money was going to be the downfall of the Met fan base because they think that you're going to get every single player. Everything's going to be $30 million players, every position. It's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. And I've been saying this for a long time, and it's the truth that when you want to look at a team like the Dodgers and why they're successful and why they've become so successful over these last handful of years, it's because, yes, they have a lot of money, but they use their money properly. They use their money as a finisher. That's what when you have money, you're supposed to use it as a finisher. So when you create everything from the infrastructure standpoint and they go out there and they say, okay, we're ready to make this jump now. And then they make a trade for Mookie Betts and they extend him to a big contract that Boston wouldn't. Now it's like, okay, we are building, we're getting there. And then they play the up and down game of the luxury tax. And then they come back down and say, okay, now we're going to attack Freddie Freeman. Now we got Freddie Freeman. Like now we're cooking, and they know what they're doing. Then of course you get Shohei Ohtani, and yes, he is an anomaly because of not only the type of player that he is, but the contract that he was willing to defer. But money is meant to be a finisher. Now we have a fan base that wants money to be the end all be all when you still are trying to build everything from the inside out like you're supposed to. But this fan base doesn't like when you build from the inside out because now you're just a prospect hugger who doesn't know what they're doing and you have no balls and you don't know, like this is in Milwaukee. And it's like, I can go on, but people are just going to keep calling me a David Stearns apologist. But I guess I have more patience than people because I'm the Met fan that was screaming on the X app, formerly known as Twitter, for the last decade plus or 20 years, however freaking long I've been on there now, since 2009, screaming about how I wanted an approach. I wanted a farm system. I wanted a clear path. Like I want these things, and I feel like I'm getting it slowly with David Stearns, but nobody else seems to want this now. They just see the money and they think that they're going to get every single thing that's at the table, like Carson just said, and it's just not the way it works. You have to pick and choose the right players that are going to succeed, and I do think that David Stearns had said it before, and he believes it because he said it. That being, there are certain types of players that one can see if they're going to fit in New York or not. And we all know that the Met jersey weighs a little bit more than the Yankee jersey when playing in New York. So it's about making the right call on certain players.
What do you think Stearns has identified good players for the Mets in his current regime? Ibby, you're talking about?
Has he identified good players? I mean, like, are you saying overall?
Like he's found good fits? Yes, he's found good overall fits for this Mets team.
Put me on the spot looking through everything. Let's see. He's not the reason why Juan Soto's here. That's not allowed. So Juan Soto doesn't count because everyone says it's not him. Let's see. The pitching.
I think most people want Juan Soto. Very few could afford Juan Soto. Like he's a different case.
I will say this. I would say that the pitching is the thing that gets him hung up the most because everyone says he dollar store shops on that. And my rebuttal to that has always been he's dollar store shopping in that sense because this team had nothing and he had to wait out the growth of younger players such as Nolan McLean and Jonah Tong and Brennan Sproat, and how they're continuously getting better with other guys like Santucci and Watson and Weniger, like all those guys. Like you have to build pitching. You can't go out and spend on pitching. Like, I'm sorry, it's a mistake every time. So no, I mean, he was smart to get Severino. It worked out. Smart to let him go, I thought, at least. Was it right to bring in Montas? Looking at it now, no, it wasn't. Did I understand why he brought Montas in? I always looked at it from an innings perspective. They needed innings, and he was a guy that averaged 150 innings a year. I thought that was the idea. And do you want to spend $17 million on something like that? No, but when you don't have anything in the farm system at the time, that's what you have to do, unfortunately. So it ends up being egg on his face. But yeah, there's been some good, there's been some bad, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, I think what I will say is that where he's excelled at is the minor league deals with the pitchers. I mean, that's where, and we talked about it, during the season, but like the Warrens and all these other guys that we saw out of the bullpen and the long relief role Cubs are now all fantastic. I mean, he knocked that totally out of the park.
Right?
Yeah, Waddell, like, I mean, a lot of like no-name guys like for the bullpen in the minor leagues. He did that exceptionally. And my thing has just been like, I wish he could do that with one hitter. One. Can I have one hitter that we could do that with? Because when you look at like, okay, well, what's the rest of baseball doing? And I watched what the Blue Jays did this past year. How many guys in that lineup did you not hear of going into the season that are not household names that all of a sudden these guys are all great? Like, where'd that come from?
Lucas,
one of those guys?
Second, that guy.
Yeah, it's like the Blue Jays had like a whole bunch of guys, and it's like, we don't have any of those. Like, we don't have one. Like, can we
wait a minute. Well, Frank. The first guy that he drafted here, Carson Bench, is being talked about for center field, and people are having a shit fit over it. We'll
see. I mean, listen. But what I will say though is that when it comes to Mets and player development, especially in the hitting department, it's not gone well. I mean, how many guys have started at a certain prospect rank and they all decline? They start in top 100 and they don't finish top 100. And now these guys are leaving the organization.
And we still have yet to see that first wave yet. And I don't know. I think it's more of just a past whiplash, I think, from, what we've seen from a lot of our young players just not panning out. Obviously, I want to see it. I want to see like these young guys, especially the ones that David Stearns did draft with, Chris Gross by his side for the, the player development and things like that. Andy Green did a really, really good job, former Padres manager for the Mets minor league development. He's still with us. I think he's coming back next year. So again, they need that type of infrastructure of good coaches as well. They've done well so far. And like the next step was the major league level. And that's the thing that I'm like very, very hesitant about. I'm like, is the coaching change enough? Is it enough to where you're like, okay, well, we can bring back Alonso and that's it. I have questions about that. You know what I mean? I have questions. It's like, is this enough? Is this enough to get the Mets off of their bad habits? Is it? Because they're not off it yet. They just aren't. If they were, we wouldn't have to go into every season being like, oh, I don't know what's going to be here. There's a question mark here and a question mark there. And I understand, like we said, the signings that he needed to make, or the signings that Stearns did make, was because there was nothing within the system. And obviously we know that McLean, Sproat, Tong, those guys are going to get that leash. But again, there's also some other changes that do need to be made. So it's just like we said, Kodai Senga needs to be considered as a trade candidate. And if it's not him, everyone's favorite Sandy Koufax variant, David Peterson, in the final year of his control, needs to be considered as well.
You'd like that, wouldn't
Holmes, maybe. Somebody. Hater. Consider someone. Get rid of someone. Someone major league ready. The only major league ready player that was at the highest value that we sold high on was Jose Budo. That's it. That's all we've done. All I see this team is just waste away.
And we got Tyler Rogers in return.
And we got Tyler Rogers.
Wait to get rid of him.
We got Tyler Rogers for him. It's just like, sell high, do something. Sell high on someone. Make a change. And it doesn't matter who's running this team. Like that's the one thing that I question. It's like
They botched it with Wheeler.
this team will fight so hard to keep the guys that they have. And you wonder why nothing changes. It's like, yeah, you can make these additions here and then, but it's like we said with the infrastructure, that goes with the core of the team as well. So it's like, okay, Jeff McNeil's going to stay. Great. Who are you getting rid of? You can't have 100 people play second base. It can't happen. They can't be piggybacked on top. Like, this is the problem that I have with this. It's like you have 7 second basemen on this team. You have 14 third basemen. You have 7 DHs. Like, make a decision, please. I didn't expect to get so hot-headed about it, but it's just like, I can't with this mentality of, I want to keep this guy. I want to keep this guy. I want to keep this. Make a decision, please.
You okay?
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Anyways. Heyman
Blood pressure's
reports
a
that
little
the
high.
Mets are taking offers for McNeil. They won't trade him anyway. He's too important. Who
Taking
cares?
offers? No
They're
one's
taking
calling.
offers on him.
Taking offers.
They're taking. Oh, good.
Who the hell's
Too bad. The
calling?
whole team likes him, and he's best friends with the vending machine operator at City Field, so he's gonna stay. Anyways, I mean, just unreal. Anyways, let's talk about.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Taking
I
offers.
just I don't know how many times it's like I don't know how many times we can just go in this circle constantly over and over again. Well, it's like, these are movable pieces. Okay, move them. Move them then. Do something. Provide some flexibility, please. Something. It would be great. But no. This guy's the best option. This guy's the lowest. This guy has the highest floor. Even though it's done nothing for us, let's keep him. It's just, I can't, like, do something different. The morale of the team was so important with Jose Iglesias here, but can't get rid of any core members who display that as leaders. Unbelievable. Anyways, speaking of possible guys that we can bring in, there's another guy that the Mets were attached to over this past week. Recently, even during the season, there were some reports about the Mets being linked to Cody Bellinger. Now, I do want to talk about Cody Bellinger because he does kind of fit into this Pete Alonso discussion. Obviously, with his flexibility, willing to play first base, and maybe he adds into that equation here. As for Cody Bellinger, give a little bit of a profile here as to what he is on the free agent market. We obviously got this report from John Heyman. Cody Bellinger being a Boras client. There's a connection there, obviously. Cody Bellinger last year had a great year in the pinstripes over there in the Bronx at 125 weighted runs created plus, 29 homers, 98 runs batted in. That is not his correct slash line. I don't know why that is in there. That's a typo. But this was actually created, I don't know, at 2 o'clock in the morning. So excuse that. Anyways, exit velocities are not the best, but we all know that he is a big pull side hitter. So obviously some better quality of contact from that side that improves that. Obviously has become better of a contact hitter over the course of his career. Against left-handed pitching, reverse splits, a 180 weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitching, 105 weighted runs created plus against right-handed pitching. Then he also adds that little bit of element of versatility, defensive value. He also can swipe maybe 15 to 20 bags if you need him to. Strong arm out there in the outfield, and likely he can play center field, maybe left field if you need to, take Nimmo off his feet for a little bit. And he also could possibly play first base, which the Mets, as of right now, have an opening for. Cody Bellinger. Now, we don't have the biggest Cody Bellinger supporter on the panel today. We could have had him, but he was not able to join us, and that being Ibby's co-host in John. So either way.
I got to bring back the belly bell now. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you, I don't know if you have that on tap, but anyways, again, another Boris client. So deal with the devil. I don't know. But again, I get it. I think that it makes this team better in structure, but there's got to be some limitations in if they are actually pursuing somebody like Cody Bellinger, or this is kind of just a push, which would be a weird push, to be honest, because they're both Boris clients, to kind of hurry things up with Pete Alonso. But I would not say so, because you're in the middle of November. So, Frank, I'll go to you here. Bellinger will help, obviously. It's not perfect. It's not the perfect solution, but it definitely fits in needs that this team is, needing, let's just say, in overall, I don't know, tools, I'd say. Tools, versatility, ability. He's not 35 years old and needs to be a DH.
It would be something different, because I feel like when it comes to positional versatility, it's not something this team has that much of. I know, like Carson always says, McNeil's like that super utility guy, like kind of, but not really a master at anything.
How can we get rid of him?
But not providing too much offensively. But Bellinger definitely does bring some different things to the table. But however, I mean, like when we talk about the fit, it is tough, because I feel like in a vacuum, like Pete Alonso is the better hitter than Cody Bellinger as far as what he could provide. But with Cody, it's like I want him to be kind of bundled with something. And this kind of we're against that whole like quantity over quality approach. It's like, so the scenario is, do I have Alonso or do I have Bellinger plus something else? Because like we said, there's multiple issues with this team. And I think one thing we haven't really talked about much in this episode is that like center field is a problem too. Like we know that they keep getting these very defensive first center fielders who are just so bad offensively, and getting a two-way guy is not a thing. Like unless Carson Bench, I mean, there's that report that he's going to, actually be a threat in spring training, unless he magically shows up and he saves the day, center field offense is going to be an issue. And at this rate, maybe defense too, because who's going to play center field? Is it going to be Tyrone Taylor again for a third year in a row? Is that
God,
a
I hope
plan?
so.
So, I mean, listen, I can't say I love that. I like someone who can provide some offensive upside at the center field position. So I feel like with Bellinger, if he means Bellinger plus something else, I'm more on board with it. But overall, again, like we say, a lot of times price depends. I mean, I'm not overpaying to get him, but I think that the versatility is something that can be considered. It's something where, again, it's about long-term flexibility and different things that can happen. Okay, you put Cody at first base next year, maybe Clifford comes up and then you can move Bellinger to the outfield, or vice versa. Like you need him in the outfield first, or there's like so many different things you could do when you have a guy that like there's multiple options. With Pete, it's like first base and DH and that's it. Like there's nothing to talk about. With Bellinger, it's like, oh well, maybe I could move Nimmo if you did trade Nimmo. I could put Bellinger in left field. Oh, I could put Soto at DH. I put Bellinger in right field. Like it just gives you more avenues to explore as time goes on. But overall, it's like I just need something else with him, and I think too. He's a different kind of player, and like we talk about, we have a new hitting coach. How's that going to work? Cody Bellinger is a guy that pulls the ball. I mean, that is what he does. I know Carson likes that, but is that what the Mets front office wants? Is that what their new hitting coach wants? This guy did not have a single home run to center field, left center, or left field. Everything was right field. Every single one of his home runs. Playing in Yankee Stadium as a left-hand hitter. One of the things, since we're going over Bellinger, I feel like we have to talk about it. Huge reverse splits last year. I mean, he hit 353 against lefties.
Brought that up,
OPS over 1,000, more walks than strikeouts. So that's something that is appealing to me. I mean, if you talk about, if you did like Bellinger and Naylor, it's too many lefties. But if one of the guys has reverse splits, is it the worst thing in the world? Would you rather have how much Pete gives you total bases wise, or give me Naylor and Bellinger? It's something that maybe too many lefties, but what's out there? So
you're saying we need to get rid of a left-handed hitter. That's what you're saying.
Hey, listen, I didn't say McNeil. McNeil has to stay. I mean, he's one of the guys that...
There's no way he can't.
Someone's got to stay forever. McNeil's got to be the one.
He can't go. We can't let homegrown guys go. You did it to the guy wearing 30, but it's not like that matters.
That guy stinks.
If you look at hey, he was the second worst hitter due to OPS last year. He wasn't that bad. Either way, Bellinger, 25 home runs if he played in Citi Field last year. So
Okay.
it's still power productive compared to Cedric Mullins or Tyrone Taylor, Jose Siri, who I don't even think can make
but that's
contact
the
with the
thing too,
baseball
is that,
anymore.
I mean, like we talked about though, how many home runs did Mullins have as an Oriole compared to when he came to the Mets? Like a lot of times,
Yeah.
like what it says supposed to happen, it doesn't always
and
happen.
that was because he pulled the ball so much in the air, and that was one of the intriguing facts. I was like, okay, let's see what we can do here, but obviously, Mr. Pancake Shithead had to, but it's. Again, is the coaching enough? Again, that's another point. And like you said, he does pull the ball a lot, and that's something that is redeeming, especially for a guy with kind of erratic quality of contact. But
he has that uppercut swing too. I mean, big time.
He might break his back doing it. That's my
and
problem.
He has had his injuries in the past. I mean, Bellinger's
Shoulder.
a good player, but not what he was.
He isn't, and he was a
MVP
National League
caliber.
MVP.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
So he's not that player anymore. And we've seen a rough floor from him before. It's not like we haven't. He's obviously gotten older. Maybe he's a little bit more wiser of a hitter. Obviously makes a little bit more contact. Maybe that's something that this team definitely could use. Andrew, I'll go to you on Bellinger, obviously. Again, it's a center field option. Maybe it's first base. It's not perfect. It's got some flaws, but avenue they can consider. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking all the positives. I mean, there again, he didn't grade out the best in center field. Obviously, he graded out better on the corner than he did in center. So you have to take that into consideration. Yes, he could play center field, and he still could play a probably very serviceable center field, but he's not. He didn't grade out amazing out in center. I mean, it's definitely a different type, but also we talk about the Yankee Stadium effect. You looked at his OPS on the road compared to Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, I think it was 928. On the road, it was 715. So there is, there could be that, obviously, when you're playing at that right hand, and especially when you're left pull hitter in Yankee Stadium, obviously you're going to be beneficial playing there. It's definitely it's an intriguing option. Why is this brought up? I think Boris wants, it's Juan Soto 2.0. Have the Mets and the Yankees get into a bidding war for a corner outfielder, and that's why, where you can get this big deal. Also, we're talking, and this is the kind of craziest thing. Like, this is year 10 for Belly. He just turned 30. Like, he's gonna be 30 all of next year. Like, he's been in the major leagues for 10 years, and he's just getting 30. So he has a couple years younger than Alonso. So you're gonna have to tack on a few more years compared to what Alonso is. So the contract's interesting. Again, the versatility is definitely appealing, and for run prevention, he's a good defensive first baseman. He could play all three outfield spots, but that's versatile and valuable. But we talk about, the bat's worse than Alonso, which is fine. Again, he's a more valuable player than Pete Alonso. But are you going to sit here and give 6 at 180, close to 200 million, 6-7 years? That's what Boris is going to want. So we had this conversation, we talked about all these long-term deals. This is going to be another 20 million north of $20 million north of 5 years. So I'm not in love with that. But if you're telling me, gun to my head, would I rather give 5 years to Alonso or 5 years to Belly? I'm gonna probably lean Belly, just because if I need him in center or left field, I can put him there. If I need him at first, I can put him there. In a perfect world, and again, if we were playing MLB The Show, or if we were playing on Dodger mode, Alonso's the DH, Belly's the first. Or are you opening day, Belly's in center, Alonso's the first, and if Benj is ready in May, just shift Belly to first, Pete to DH, and Benj plays center. But we don't play in that because, thanks Nemo, thanks Jeff McNeil, thanks Sean Manaea, all those big contracts. You don't live in that world. So everyone crying about, we can get both. I mean, we can. And I would like the Mets to go F it mode because, one, you don't know if you've got baseball next year. You have 1 year
talked about this already,
of guaranteed Major League Baseball. What the financial structure. I want you to go full Dodgers. Just say, fuck it. Say, I'm signing this guy, I don't care. But they're not going to do that because, again, Stearns wants to be smart and do a responsible thing. But I would love them to just whip out, crazy 1 year deal. I want you 1 year, here's $45 million. Or go nuts. You can do that for 1-year deals, but they're not going to do that, and Belly's not going to take that. So we talked about this with Alonso. I'd be a little more comfortable just because of the versatility to maybe get into bed with a longer-term deal with Belly compared to Alonso. But again, you're also looking at two different archetypes. So it's like, if it's a 7-year deal, I'm out. But again, that's probably what it's going to be because a lot of teams are going to be interested. He does have a qualifying offer attached to him. So that's the other thing. You're going to give up a draft pick plus give term to a guy. It's an interesting option. It's not the perfect option. But again, if you're losing Pete Alonso, you're getting some versatility. And like Frank said, maybe if it's Bellinger plus, trading for Yandy Diaz, going after Murakami, the other one. What the hell is his name?
Okamoto.
Like Okamoto's better defensively at first base. So you give him, and plays first and third. So it gives you better, and he's a better defender compared to Murakami. So again, if we're talking that, I'd much prefer that than just giving the big money to Alonso. But again, it's going to be 5, 6, 7-year deal for Bellinger. And if we're not comfortable with that, what makes you think the guy that's proven in New York in a Met uniform, compared to a Yankee uniform, well, that would real sit well with Mets fans. Hey, let Alonso go, the guy, and then just go pay a guy that was non-tendered a few years ago and give him 7 years. That would go over really well on the Mets Twitter fan base. Great.
Well, they already chose Jeff McNeil to extend before Pete Alonso, so whatever. It's just whatever. Batting champion though, so that's great. No, anyways, but to recap what Andrew just said, he wants to whip it out and get into bed. That's what he said. Okay. Hey, you said both of those things, so we can take it completely out of context. And hey, I'm the only one with the editing mouse. All right, it's just me. All right. Anyways, Ibby, the thought of Bellinger, obviously your partner would probably advocate for this a little bit more, but we don't have access to him as of right now. Again, it goes into more of the roster construction of who plays what position and who can play what position, and that flexibility of maybe giving a leeway to a Benj if he so wants to, if they do want to in center field, if he's ready, which is their every right because he's their first round pick. I mean, there's got to be limits here, but I do think that this helps the team theoretically on paper.
Yeah, I think that everything that Frank had mentioned when it comes to the versatility is definitely something that plays big here, especially for someone like Stearns, because his team does lack some flexibility in that sense. So I can understand it from that standpoint, but again, bringing up what Andrew just said, it's kind of where my brain is as well, and that's, when we're talking about the years here, we're talking about similar numbers, and if you have a preference, if it's the same, that's one thing. But I kind of feel like it's going to be different. And I think it's more like, I think Pete's going to be struggling to get 4 or 5 years. And I think Bellinger is going to be pushing more for 6 or 7 years, something like that. And I wouldn't be shocked if Boris, uses the Nimmo contract as a baseline for Bellinger. Like that wouldn't shock me either. And I don't see, as you guys just mentioned before, I have a hard time with a guy that was given away basically by the Cubs. Couldn't get rid of him quicker. And I know guys can turn their careers around. Things can happen. You can find money in the end, but I have a hard time giving this guy, 6, 7 years, even with the versatility, even though it's a change for this team. I like if it was 6 or 7 years for Bellinger versus 4 years for Pete, I would choose Pete in that scenario. I would, even though it wouldn't help us with the flexibility, but I don't want to be married to the idea of an aging Belly. And Andrew bringing up the the home and away splits and the dead pull and Yankee. And I know Carson said that he would have still had 26 home runs at City last year, whatever it may have been. Yeah, still solid, but I still worry about that changeover, because there is one, no matter what people say. Like there is, like not everyone's gonna be like a Soto when it comes to going from the Yankees to the Mets. It's a little bit different, especially that first year, and especially if you're coming in that spot and you're viewed, if this was to happen, you're viewed as the guy who replaced Pete Alonso. Like I think that's hard, because I don't expect Bellinger to come in and hit 40 home runs. I don't. I think he would come in and hit 20, 20 home runs or 25 home runs, but play solid defense. And that wouldn't be enough for people because they would say the offense is dragging. The offense is dead 5 through 9. Like this is we need more.
Yeah.
We need more here. And I think that would be a disservice to him as well. But I also, me just speaking out loud, I've been saying this for a while. I don't think Bellinger is leaving the Yankees because I think the Yankees are going to do everything that they can to lock him up just so they don't have to hear the noise of trying to go after Kyle Tucker, because I don't think that they want to. And I think that they would much rather have the cheaper option in Bellinger. He was there. He proved it. Yes, it would be running it back for them, but it's a cheaper, manageable, easy fix for them just to bring that back and then try to work around the edges a little bit more, as opposed to paying $400 million for Tucker, which I don't think that they want to do. So I think the whole moot, in my opinion, but I can understand why Stearns is interested. But me, I'm very cautious on Bellinger. I know John is more gung-ho about it, but me, I'm a little bit more reserved.
Yeah, I listen, I know what he could give to a team making a deep playoff run, because he's done very well in those positions as well. He's very experienced in that way, and he still has a lot left in him. He does. But this is also the fact of some of you guys already said it. I don't see this guy aging well. I just don't. I don't see it at all. Maybe it's just the sudden movements of this guy's batting stance, of where he just turns his entire body. And we've already seen factors of that younger in his career of doing so. Again, it's not something like I'm saying of a trap free agent, but it has a risk to it. And Bellinger on 5, 7, 6, I saw 6 years, 180 as a possibility. No, sorry.
No way.
Not going to happen whatsoever. But again, I think that it's the main reason as to why he can harvest that market and have that possibility, even though he was one of the Boris unsigned, along with, what was it? It was like Chapman. Like there was 4 that was unsigned like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
JD Martinez was one of them. Even though he was one of those guys, he obviously, without the qualifying offer attached to him, he's a little bit more maybe attractive compared to maybe another guy who maybe is seen as a cheaper option, his teammate Trent Grisham, because he has the qualifying offer attached to him. And Trent Grisham coming off of a fantastic year as well, but is also older than Cody Bellinger. Am I wrong? Or maybe he's younger. He might be. I'm not sure. But we saw what a qualifying offer can do to a he's a year younger than him. He's 29. He would be, I guess I'm gonna guess he would be.
The mustache
30.
ages him. That's what it was.
Yeah, the mustache ages him. So that's basically it. You look like the Monopoly man. You're gonna be treated like an old fashioned guy.
Like he's tying to the railroad track. That's what he was doing.
Yep, exactly. I mean, listen, I think that's a certain look that I don't think the Mets have ever had. Have they? I mean, they did the facial hair thing with the pitchers or something for a second with the young pitchers, but that was it. But again, I don't see this aging well. If it was 2-3 years, maybe, because you can shift him over to first base if you like what you're seeing from Benj and you want to give him a chance. Because this is basically talking about him with Alonso out of the equation. Even with him in the equation, like we said, DH time. But again, in 2026, Pete Alonso is not just going to be a DH, because if that were true, he would be, getting lower than $25 million a year, because that's what DHs are kind of valued at. Even though there is that one in LA right now who it's a different story, but again, he can throw the ball as well 100 miles an hour off the mound. So again, I think it helps the team. I get exactly why they would be interested, but there has to be limits in this situation, because we've seen a very worst of Cody Bellinger and we've seen a very best of Cody Bellinger. And we know that his very best, he's not going to reach. He isn't going to, because his very best 2019 was an undeniable, like he was first in every single category, and that won him the National League MVP. So again, I think there's still a few good years left in him, maybe either offensively or overall production, kind of similar to Nimmo, but he's not going to age well. I just don't see that happening. And I probably have a little bit more of aging concern about Bellinger compared to Alonso. Little bit of a margin. Little bit. Mainly it's just because he plays a more, a more, like, more taxing position, basically. But again, guys age, they age. We've seen first baseman's age, we've seen outfielders age. But again, I won't be mad at it, but it would be one of those situations where when we talked about like Starling Marte, it's like 4 years is a lot. Like that's a lot. Like that's a lot to give. Term is a lot to give, especially when we're talking about all these contracts that they've already put on the books already. Ibby, if you want to add anything.
No, I got nothing else. I got nothing else there. No.
No. All right. Well, we're going to actually wrap it up here because we already went past the 2 hours. I feel like, we probably could go forever more, but we don't want any more stories to break and shift us off of everything else. But either way, some other things that I just want to mention real quick. Ronnie Mauricio is going to be playing Dominican Winter League. I know everybody is going to be very scared about that because he got hurt that last time, but he needs to get those reps in because he was just sitting on the bench. Frank, I will turn this one over to you for any last comments. Drew Smith's club option was declined.
Yes.
Brooks Raley is back, and Nate Lavender is back. But I probably should have cued Ibby in on that one. So that was bad production quality work by me. Frank, Drew Smith, any final goodbye?
Goodbye. See you later. I'm sure he'll be back some way, one way or another. I mean, how many pitchers the Mets use this year? Do you feel like they're not going to go back to the well and give him a phone call? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way he still ends up back here with how many guys they went through. So we'll see. But then they got to add some more guys to this bullpen. And who knows? Maybe they bring back Drew Smith to be a closer because they still need one. A couple things I will say because I didn't get to mention it. I've seen two names that have been out there just in the rumor mill as potentially being available players. Two of my favorite guys, Freddie Peralta and Pete Fairbanks. I get one of them, I'm thrilled. I get both, I'd be really happy. I've talked about those guys for years, so I hope that somehow, some way the Mets get one of them soon, if possible. But something, I would like for us to have some kind of player to talk about next time we do this. And if Carson is frozen forever, I'm not going to complain about that either. And now he's gone. So there's a new sheriff in town. Oh, boy. That is... Was not expecting that. We definitely went over...
On Beatty's birthday. Beautiful. On Beatty's birthday. I love it.
We maxed them out. Oh, wow.
Beatty just blew out the candles. That's what it was. And he said, I want Carson gone. And just like that.
That was Beatty's birthday wish. And
he
got Thanos snapped. And he's gone. That's it. I mean,
all of the haters. Gone, dead forever. But wait, Ibby, then if all the haters are gone, you're gonna need a new co-host. Like we need a new co-host because Saps is right there with him, and I think Ibby's now gone.
Yeah, people are traveling like flies.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm
there we are. I'm
back. We lost another one. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. I thought I was going next.
Exactly. It's like, oh my god, we're losing everybody. But I guess I'll say my final words and then we'll get him out of here.
Yeah, go for it.
Obviously, we're getting a couple videos out a week. We're gonna probably bulk record a couple more, maybe 2 next week. We'll see. Obviously, we're gonna at least try to get 1 out a week. And for me, obviously, waiting for the non-tender deadline to hit for my yearly, to show David Stearns how to be a big market GM simulation. Obviously, we do it every year. Once the non-tender deadline is passed, that'll be out. We'll hit our couple of traditional videos coming soon, as always, to the offseason Mets Weekly content.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what happened here, but do you guys hear me?
No, I don't hear
me.
Yeah, we hear you.
All right.
We can't see you, but we hear you.
Yeah, you can't see me because for some reason I think my camera thinks I'm on in some other application and something just shut off there. But did you guys go
I thought it was your John
now?
Cena tribute for being a Grand Slam champion.
Okay.
Now it just sounds like my conscience. I don't know what the hell that
means, but hey, you guys been hollering at hockey the whole time, so I guess I deserved that. I don't know. But did we get to Ibby? Ibby, if there's anything
yeah.
you want to...
The last
Yeah.
thing I'll just put out there is I'm very interested to see how this offseason continues. Whether when you guys go live, I'll be in the comment section as often as I am. We go live tomorrow. Maybe something will happen. We will be having Will Salmon from The Athletic on our show tomorrow, talking all things GM meetings, talking about the Mets offseason outlook, what he's been hearing, what might be on the horizon. I'm sure we'll talk plenty about the likes of Alonso and Bellinger as well as Edwin Diaz. So if you are new to the show or you never heard of us, this is the first time you're seeing me, whatever it may be, head on over to TilMetsDoUsPart tomorrow at 5:30 here on YouTube as well as X to check out our conversation with Will Salmon. But as always, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun. I love talking ball with you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. And you guys can go see, again, his show that is Ibby and John, his co-host, who was not able to make it tonight. But all those links are in the description, so make sure to go follow them. And again, like he said, his show tomorrow. You guys are usually on Wednesday, but
usually on
this
Wednesday,
time you
yes.
On Friday. Yeah.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it was waiting for him to come post GM meetings. That's all.
All right. So either way, we're going to end it off here. Again, I don't know what the hell just happened to my technology, but hey, technology, it happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. If you are on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to not miss when we go live all off season long. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. Let's go Mets. Again, we've got a long off season ahead of us. So hold your breath. Don't believe every single report that you see. Don't panic. Decisions are going to be made. I don't know.
Panic,
Okay,
everybody scream.
All right. Well, we're gonna deal with Ibby's panic attack off stream, and we'll see you guys next time.
Happy birthday, Prep 80.
Yeah, sure, that as well.